Black families weren't broken. The fact is that a rising black middle class became politically dangerous. After World War II, industrial labor created stability for many black households. Factory jobs, union work, railroads, steel, auto manufacturing, shipping, municipal jobs. These gave many black men wages capable of sustaining households on one income. That stability was economic and political power. See, a man with stable income can fund organizations. A stable household produces disciplined children. A stable community builds institutions. Independent institutions create political leverage. And that's what frightened the power structure. The civil rights era was not powered only by marches and speeches. It was financed by labor, black labor, by working class households, by factory workers and donating money, vehicles, labor, food, churches support, printing resources, and organizational infrastructure. The black middle class became the fuel source of the resistance. So the state and corporate structure eventually understood that if you destabilize the economic role of the black male, you destabilize the family unit that produces organized resistance. After that, it was deindustrialization. Factories closed, jobs moved overseas, automation increased, urban industrial centers collapsed. That factory in your city that shut down and the town has never been the same, the town has been devastated and hasn't recovered since. That was a part of this era. The work disappeared first. The social collapse came afterwards. The common narrative says that the family collapsed, therefore poverty emerged. That's incorrect, because we had strong families all up to that point. And it's the reverse that's true. The economic foundation was attacked, and then the family structure was destabilized. Without industrial wages, many fathers could no longer perform the expected provider role. And you know how you women are when that man ain't making no money? That created vulnerability, and vulnerable populations accept compromises they normally would reject. Do something strange for some change. The next stage was conditional assistance. The state effectively said, if the man is absent, assistance increases. This created a devastating psychological inversion. The father slowly transformed from the protector, provider, into an administrative liability. The household structure itself became economically penalized. And this is where the Truman Show, y'all hear me talk about the Truman Show and how the black community and the Truman Show are parallel. Because the system framed this as compassion, help, as progress, as empowerment. But embedded inside of programs they give you, behavior engineering. The government did not need to physically remove every father. Economic pressure plus conditional incentives could accomplish similar outcomes. Many participants did not perceive it as a trap. They perceived it as survival. Many men accepted diminished household roles because they believed partial provision was better than total collapse. A man unable to secure stable employment, he may have rationalized, well, if the government comes in, at least my children will be able to eat. If the government comes in, at least they'll have housing. If the government comes in, at least they'll have medical care. And from that perspective, the compromise appears to be temporary, practical, and necessary. The system doesn't just operate off of behavior. They normalize it. What begins as an emergency adaptation slowly becomes cultural expectation, and the exception becomes the model. See, women adapted to the incentives and ideological frameworks available to them. The feminist movement, originally centered around white women seeking entry into institutional and professional power structures, eventually merged with welfare state dependency models inside black communities. under completely different economic conditions. That wasn't your fight, sister, at all. We wasn't oppressing you. That distinction matters. White feminist discourse often emerged from women attempting to expand beyond their stable households. They already had stable households. But many black women, by contrast, were navigating economic instability, disappearing labor markets, and state dependency systems at the same time. Those are not identical conditions, but the ideological messaging merged anyway, like we the same. The message became, you don't need male authority. You don't need a father structurally in the household. A state can replace that function. Male leadership is potentially oppressive. Masculinity itself is dangerous. Over generations, this reshaped child rearing, especially for boys, but the communities most affected were ours. The first neutralization of the black male happened psychologically during upbringing, reinforced by his mother. Mother ruined the boys. If a boy is primarily educated about masculinity through institutions distrustful of masculine authority, and at the same time lacking consistent male models inside the household, then masculinity itself becomes associated with danger, instability, irresponsibility, or threat. The son is taught to fear becoming his father. Oh, you just like your damn daddy. Or to resent him, because that statement is going to make him resent. He don't want to be like his damn daddy. Or to distrust masculine authority altogether. And if schools, media, courts, entertainment, political rhetoric reinforce the same message, the condition begins to compound. This creates what you could describe as administratively domesticated masculinity. Not physically enslaved, but psychologically softened. Disconnected from land, legacy, discipline, authority, and collective identity. So I'm not merely saying that boomers were victims. It is that survival compromises made by one generation became inherited conditions for the next. Gen X inherits fragmentation. Millennials inherit institutional dependency. Gen Z inherits identity confusion. Each generation becomes further and further removed from the original stable structure. And because the original compromise was normalized, later generations often defend the very system that destabilized them. They're confused. Listen, pain will cause the truth to lie on itself. And see, that's the Truman Show that we're in. The actors began protecting the set because they no longer recognize it as a set. You think it's just this is real. The argument is not that one gender destroyed the community. The argument is that economic destabilization, ideological conditioning, and administrative incentives and generational adaptation combine to slowly dissolve power structures that once produced political independence. And the most effective systems of control are the ones where the participants believe they are making free choices, while the available choices themselves have already been engineered. You are governed by consent. It's your vote while they are governing over you.